Hi, I'm Max Keiser. Welcome to the Keiser Report. Workers of the world, unite and give up your rights. Nations of the world, unite and give up your sovereignty. Yes, uniting is the new dividing and conquering. Stacey Herbert, explain.
Well, Max Keiser, the first headline, the big headline here this week has been George Osborne, workers of the world, unite and give up your rights. So he used that famous Marx quote of give workers of the world unite. But what he means is that companies can now, from April, give shares worth between £2,000 and £50,000. But in exchange, the workers have to give up their rights to claim for unfair dismissal. They also have to give up their rights to redundancy payoff if the firm goes under, and any rights to demand flexible hours or time off for training.
Well, this is a terrible plan coming from the slippery snake, George Osborne. First of all, they issue all this new stock to give to the workers, immediately diluting all the shareholders, including the new workers. Additionally, giving away shares now, historically, at a time when stock markets are trading at their all-time highs. You know, it reminds me, not too long ago, when Gordon Brown decided to do the nation a favor and sell half the nation's gold at an all-time low of $250 an ounce. Now here's Georgie Porgy Osborne coming in and saying, oh, give up all your rights, we'll give you stock at the tippity top of a bull market, watch the market collapse, watch us dilute your shares down to nothing. This is the ultimate wampum. I mean, his ancestors were probably in America doing deals with the Iroquois.
Well, these no-right contracts can be extended from April, and Osborne says they will create a new breed of owner employees. I think you could probably, Max, call them owned employees instead.
Right. Now, this is typically what you'd find from the Tories. It's a horrible deal for the workers. The workers should be lobbying for more rights, not less rights. The workers should be lobbying for higher interest rates so that their pensions are worth more. The workers should be lobbying for representation on the board of directors, like they have in Germany, for example, an economy that's doing well, by the way.
So Osborne is calling them owner employees, which of course made me think of one of the biggest private employers in the Western world, and that is Walmart. They call their workers associates. So Walmart's first ever retail worker strike spreads to 12 cities. So this is the model that George Osborne wants to bring here. This is the first time in 50 years that there has been a strike at Walmart. It is the biggest private employer in America with over 1.4 million employees. And this group, it's not a union, because of course Walmart is not unionized. It's called Our Walmart, and they presented a declaration of respect to the company in June. And what they want is $13 per hour minimum wage at the company. They want full-time jobs for those that want one and predictable schedules. Right,
and Walmart, of course, is being squeezed because the global economy is shrinking and even their margins are being squeezed. It is known in America as the company store, you know, harkening back to slave days when you had the plantation and the plantation owner would have a little store for the slaves to buy stuff using the money that was owned by the plantation owner. It's like one big ecosystem of slavery. You know, Walmart fulfills that function in America. Now, because the margins are being squeezed in America, little known fact is that Walmart now wants to get into the banking business. And of course, the first headline to hit after they announced that was, wait a minute, this is illegal. You just can't do this, Walmart, get in the banking business. But of course, that won't stop them, will they? Because they own the government.
So the important point of this is, of course, that during the recession, 60% of the jobs lost in America were middle-income jobs. 60% of the jobs gained since the end of the recession have been low-income jobs. So this is a shift from the middle class down to the basically low-paying wage jobs at Walmart. And the average wage at Walmart is $8.81 an hour, according to IBIS World.
Right. Wages in America are going down. So they report the Bureau of Labor Statistics number every once in a while, what the actual employment number is, and they argue whether it's above 8% or below 8%. But the fact is, it doesn't really matter where it is because wages are collapsing. That's the key number. Wages are collapsing.
And one of the demands of these Walmart people is basically they don't want to live on government handouts, because most Walmart employees now have to live on government handouts, which means you're living off JP Morgan handouts, because JP Morgan is in charge of dispensing the food stamps that many Walmart employees have to live on.
That's right. A lot of people don't know that J.P. Morgan, talking about slaves and plantation days, they live in the big house. That's what Jamie Dimon's in the big house. He gives out the food stamps going down to Walmart. He processes the food stamps for his shareholders that are continuously getting diluted to pay for the bonuses. They're getting screwed as well.
So we've just covered the fact that here in the UK, they're saying workers of the world unite by giving up your rights. In Europe, we see Europeans unite more and give up your sovereignty. Here's the headline, Max. IMF sees European banks facing $4.5 trillion sell-off. Yes, the IMF said European banks may need to sell as much as $4.5 trillion in assets through 2013 if policymakers fall short of pledges to stem the fiscal crisis, up 18% from its April estimate. So they're saying that European governments have to basically set up a single supervising system in the timing agreed, i.e. right now.
Well, additionally, when they say they need to sell off these trillions of dollars worth of assets, they're on the books for supposedly trillions of dollars. But when they go into the marketplace to sell these assets off, they'll find that they're not worth anywhere near what the banks say they're worth, which will precipitate the next global banking crisis, which will engender two things. A, more money printing, and two, more bank consolidation as the too big to fail banks get even too bigger to be too bigger to fail, or to be bigger, fail.
Well, this is, again, the issue is that when we saw the first collapse, the first beginning of the collapse in 2008, who was one of the big winners of it all was J.P. Morgan. They picked up Bear Stearns at pennies on the dollar, all their assets. Barclays Bank picked up all of Lehman Brothers' assets, very cheap. Northern Rock collapsed. The taxpayer here was given all the bad assets. Remember, the good assets were transferred to Jersey or some offshore tax haven, and that was given to Lord knows who, but probably J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs. Right,
and in the U.S., one of the banks mentioned as the next to go under is Morgan Stanley. So Morgan Stanley, they have a lot of retail brokers. They'll go bankrupt because their balance sheet is worth negative billions, and they'll end up working for J.P. Morgan, along with Ace Greenberg. Remember, he used to be at Bear Stearns, famous broker from the 1980s, little known fact.
Well, so they're implementing fiscal tightening as well. This is another issue that the IMF says the Europeans have to do, more fiscal tightening. Again, that's austerity. We see the results in Greece. We see the results in Spain. And this is the austerity is imposed. That's basically the bad bank, the bad assets. In Spain, certainly, all the bad mortgage debts were transferred to the taxpayer. In Ireland, all the bad mortgage debts of these small group of the Golden Circle were transferred to the taxpayer in Ireland, and they've been shellacked.
Well, look, these European economies are fiscally incontinent, and they are all touching the cloth, as it were. They need to issue some cloth-touching collateralized bonds to bail them out to some parallel civilization in a far, far, far away galaxy.